What's up, internets? Let's do a sound check. I want to make sure it's not too loud. I'm still mining back here. And I didn't turn anything off behind me, so it might be a little loud because the shotgun mic might be picking up the rigs behind me. But we did have a visit to make sure that they try to get the network secured, our network updated with a new router and a new modem, so we should be good to go. I think I had some residual issues from lightning strike, and let's see if the clarity and we can hold a green video connection today. It should be a lot sharper than it's been the last few live streams. We were locked in at a pretty good speed today. So we're gonna do kind of a pretty extensive deep dive, mainly on just the performance output of the Vega 56 today. I got into a single machine right now. I got the camera set up essentially on the kilowatt. I want to go through an entire range of testing, from power limits to various settings from both GPU and memory, across the whole spectrum of different combos of cryptocurrencies. Mainly just to test out the algorithms, but really see what this card can do in the capacity of cryptocurrency. And then if there's some follow-on interest, we may do a live stream later today, more for like the gaming kind of side of it. If people want to really care about that, maybe I'll do some PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds like we did before, and maybe some other benchmarkings from like a gaming side or something if people care about that. But I really want to focus on getting through kind of the setup for all the different, I'm looking for my pen, all the different options on cryptocurrency, the speed, the settings, all that. So I'm going to go through a whole bunch of perturbations. I do have what we did before on the Vega 56, or the Vega 64 rather, so I want to try to make sure I'm kind of hitting all the different pieces there between ETH, Ubiq. We're going to try both the current drivers, like this is what's on here right now is the latest drivers that are in that are available right now, and then we're gonna go through a whole bunch of settings on that and configuration, and then I'm gonna run the DDU on that and the device driver uninstaller, and then we're gonna try the blockchain drivers just to see what really net effect on that is. So latest drivers versus blockchain drivers also. So I am not gonna flash the BIOS. I did see a question out of there. The flash the BIOS to the 64 on this episode. I did see that some folks are taking the 64, and we do have a Vega 64 Sapphire, so technically we could pull that BIOS off and put it onto this one. That'll be like its own little episode. So that's like an event, like especially if it goes wrong and I have to then recover it. So I don't want to do that here because people want to see the performance testing today. We're going to go through the performance testing of that. We will tweak up settings and stuff and see what the Vega 56 by itself without going through any kind of flashing or anything can do. That's really today's episode. I'm saying tonight because usually I do these at night. I'm going to grab my pen because it's going to be hard to document things if I don't have a pen. And then we will get started. Glad to see that we have a pretty good participation this morning. There's a lot of different people having live streams in the crypto space right now. I think Crypto News Network, I think Richard Hard, I think a few other people are having it. So we're probably going to have a spread of people and probably get some people as those streams drop off. Still one from Barnacle is doing a little coffee in the morning. But let's get into this. We were going to, normally I do like an unboxing and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to get right into the metrics. We did an unboxing with the Vega 56, and here's the 64 rather. Here is the actual PowerColor box that came in. It came in rather. So it looks a lot like the Vega 64 box. The only difference is up here in the corner Well, let's go this way with it. It says 56 up here. No other real markings. I mean, this is like equivalent to a Founders Edition. It's just a single box case. It's plastic box, tunnel configuration on the fan to kind of blow it out the back. It is like a hair dryer when it starts spinning up. It is not as bad as the 64 was though. This thing full tilt, the audible level is a little less than what the Vega 64 was. So let me make sure the Stream Deck's set up or turned on at least, and then we can get into start doing some metrics. Stream Deck's launched. I have focus on that now, and we'll go over to this one first. So right now, system idle on this machine is setting right around 80 watts. So we're gonna document that. System idle is 80. Let's just call it 80.5 watts. Now this machine is, I try to choose a machine that was kind of more middle of the line, which, you know, the average consumer probably would have, versus trying to put like the Ryzen 7 or the you know, Threadripper 1950X. I mean, those are kind of then the higher cost PCs. So choosing like an i5 6600K, it's got 16 gigs of RAM. This is kind of an ideal setup. The target audience here is going to be people that bought a Vega 56 probably for, you know, just general use gaming, post-production video stuff, and that want to hedge at night doing some mining, and they're probably on a pretty average PC. So that kind of gives you that 16 gigs of RAM. It's got a solid state in it, a Crucial 750 solid state. So that kind of gives you a baseline of what the machine is that we're going to be working with today. This is the actual what the card is. You can see it's pulling up RX Vega, it's Micron memory, it's base clocks. Well, right now I think I'm running an overclock. That is not its memory overclock. Let's look here. Yeah, we're running just playing around already with some settings this morning when I set it up. So let me refresh that. That should drop those. When I go re-look at this, let's go back into GPU-Z. It's whatnot. You know what? Let's do an update on that, just in case it pulls more information. Update. Don't know if that actually updated. This downloads, run, open, close. There we go. All right. Yeah, so we're getting a little more information now with the latest version. And you can see that that was version 2.4.0 from GPU-Z. Get you a little more information. There was the error message that we had before because it was trying to load when it was up. So 8 gigs of memory gives you your shader count, base clock, base memory speed. So 1590 and 800 on the memory, which is right here, what you're seeing here. So Afterburner showing that. We're gonna leave this up because I want to look at the actual sensor side of this. And what we're looking at right here. So right now, just average idle is only pulling 7 watts from the GPU. So that machine in general is like 70 something watts. I'm reading some of your guys' comments. It's funny. All right, so let's get into, we're going to be using the BBT MultiMiner. Again, this is a free MultiMiner. I added the download for this in the description of this video at the bottom, towards the bottom. And all this is, again, guys, this is just taking a pool of a lot of the current builds. Each time we update the MultiMiner, I try to go through each of these different mining programs and try to update them from source, do the builds on them, make sure that they're nice and updated, and then it just references all these different folders of the actual outputs. If you were to go to individual GitHub and try to build them yourself, what we try to do is simplify that. Just go ahead and do that. We don't add anything else in this. This is just a service essentially that's free. We go through and do all that because I'm doing it anyways. This is I've had some people calling out like why aren't you charging? Why aren't you like, dude? I'm doing this already I'm doing this for myself, and it's like, why not just extend that out to you guys? There's no reason not to do that. So if I'm already going out there and testing it myself, this is just a collection of things, and then using Notepad++, it's a separate program because of the detail within the bat file here. You have to use, right now we could probably do some things to make it to where you could just use it the Windows basic Notepad, but right now just use Notepad++ to edit it. And then for the folks that are joining in the channel that have no idea what we just did there, is on the bat file, you gotta look at these, there's the folder of all the miners. This bat file is just a reference or a pointer to these particular mining pieces of software that go and execute them. It simplifies it, centralizes the actual execution of those to where you can come in here and edit them, and then you got to do a few updates and changes if you download this. The very first thing you're going to do, if you're only going to mine like Ethereum or you're going to mine any of the other alts, the very first thing you're going to want to do is change this address, everything after the equal sign, for the particular line address that you're looking at. So if you're going to say, hey, I'm going to go mine library, and that's all you want to mine, you would want to change that library address. When you double click it, it's going to highlight the whole address. You need to change that to your wallet. If you don't and you go and execute this thing, it's actually mining for me. So you need to change that. Now, I see a lot of people that just like try it for a second, I guess just to see if their machine works, and they're not going to go through the effort of changing their address. They just want to see the output, and that's fine. It gives a few cycles. As I look at that as like a contribution. So I see a lot of just blips on there when people are trying the different coins out, but by and large, if you're going to do Ubiq or Ethereum or any of that, you're going to want to come in here and just change that address. You literally copy and paste your address in there, and you hit save right up here, and then when you run that and actually run one of the programs that are mining for that particular thing, that's mining for you. That's how that works. The other pieces that you may have to set depending on the currency that you're mining is the web login. The password for everybody is usually X, so it's not a big deal. It's really irrelevant. It was just a thing in there. And then you're going to want to set the miner name. So if you're going to copy and paste this thing over to all the different machines, you're going to want to change that worker ID. And then set your email address for, and I noticed that's an error, set that email address to the email that you want updates on, because some of these algorithms that you go and you run, like Siacoin or Decred, or that has an ability to send you an email to let you know when a worker's down, like if a machine is down. So if you want to use that, you can set that. Other than that, everything else is good to go. You don't really need to configure anything. The only thing I would say is if you scroll down, you look through the way this looks, is this is just the menu. You don't need to mess with any of that. These are the pointers that point depending when you select a menu. If you're doing a menu and you select an item, this just points it down to these are the different syntax launches of the actual mining program. Some people will come in here and put additional settings if they want to see something else on the actual, when it's running on the mining. There's some advanced settings that you can put in here. Like if you have a machine that you're running in Windows and you have 8 cards NVIDIA and 7 cards AMD. If you're using like a H110 motherboard and you have 13 cards and you're trying to use Windows, you'll want to come in there, and then you have to define, you know, for if you got to launch this twice essentially, so you're going to have 2 copies of it, and you'd have to define the different IO that you want to launch with that particular mining set. So you would set cards 0 through 7 for the NVIDIA cards to mine, you know, maybe ZCASH, and then you'd have your second copy of this showing that the other cards that you want, going 8 through 13 or 8 through 12, you would have pointed to, you know, the other currency, like maybe Ethereum if you're doing the AMD. So that's the only thing. Maybe we'll go through that on another video, showing you guys how to break that up with that. But that's the only reason why you want to come in here and make some changes to that. So that's just kind of a quick overview. That way the folks that are on here right now are just like, you keep using this program and don't know anything about it, now you know a little bit about it. And for the folks that rewatch this, they have some idea of what the MultiMiner is doing and what it is. So you can see as you scroll down all the different selections there. So that's a quick update of how that works. So this is the program we're going to be using to be doing all the testing. We're going to start today just doing a baseline with no changes and just get a baseline of what the card can do. Just a visual indication of different how it runs. So let's take a reading check. We know that the card at system idle, the system itself is about 80 to 82. The card by itself is about 7 watts at idle, and we're holding it about 49 Celsius. That's pretty hot. Just the card running out of the gates setting at 50 Celsius. I mean, there is nothing. I mean, I can feel a little heat coming off of it, which is kind of nuts. We will be taking temperature readings with the FLIR, the thermal imaging. Essentially, it'll come through kind of like this. We'll do a baseline with this. I'm saving each of the pictures to kind of show what the output of the back of the card is. So right now, you guys can see that about 109. That's the temperature coming out of the back of this, 109 Fahrenheit. So that's pretty hot. Most cards are like 80 when they're on idle. So 109F. All right, so first series of tests. We're going to do Ethereum. We're going to do Ubiq, Ethereum Siacoin, Ethereum Decred, Digibyte, Pascal, ZCASH, Hush, Feathercoin. We'll do a few others. So we're gonna, and then on when I'm doing the dual mining, we're gonna try just out of the gate without changing any settings, and then we'll go high intensity and low intensity with each of the dual mining thing. So that should set the pace on what the card can do on everything. Why is this thing so hot? Yeah, that's a great question, guys. I mean, it's not really doing anything right now, but it is warm. And so that temperature reading from the card right now is what it is. I mean, I can feel the heat off the back of it, so it's definitely a little warm. And that's setting at a core clock of 27 right now. It's parked essentially. It's pretty funny. All right, so let's get into this. Let's minimize this because we're going to be coming into this quite a bit. Now the drivers that we're using, just for everybody knows for their own edification, we go into downloads. You can see this is the driver set that I downloaded last night when I was setting this up. You can see the time and date on it. That's the driver that we're using right now. And I'll tell you what, let's do this and see if this looks good. Oh no, it's gonna letterbox it. Let's do this. Scaling. How's that? That should be a little better for the folks that are trying to not have to go full screen. That way you guys can see. I'm just trying to make to where you guys can see it better. All right, so hopefully that's better. You guys can see the 17.9.1 September 7th. Those are the drivers we're trying right now. So I launched the MultiMiner. We're going to leave, again, everything at stock. I'm just going to minimize this right now so we know the base clocks of 1590, 800, no power limit, 0 PL. I'm documenting this because I'm gonna turn all of this data into essentially a spreadsheet, and then I'm gonna make a post on like Steam it, and then you guys have all the referential back in on it. We'll just make sure you guys can see it. All right, so let's go in and let's first try. I'm gonna relaunch just to make sure you guys know what I'm doing. So in BBT MultiMiner, we're gonna go down, and I'm gonna just pull this out as a create shortcut here, so I don't have to keep that folder open. And we're gonna launch this shortcut. And the first thing we're gonna try, we always start with we'll start with Ether. So we're gonna come up, and we're gonna be using number 3, which is the ETH only, using NVIDIA, the Claymore AMD NVIDIA miner, and that's version 10. So we're gonna be hitting option 3 and then hitting enter. And then letting this thing do its stuff. It's funny how it still reads it as GFX 900. So we're going to do a quick scan, hit S. So out of the gate, Ethereum 29.9. 29.989. You can see it's spinning up temperature wise. It's up to 273 rather wattage full system. Let's do the 274, 182, 192 watts. Yep, and it's putting a little heat out right now. There's the heat output, 125. We're at 125 F. That's Fahrenheit output. Yeah, that feels like 125 degrees coming out the back of it. It's slowly going up, actually. We got 30 point. I'm going to scratch through that. We're setting at HBM temperatures at 84 Celsius. That's pretty warm. So 30.6. We're going to call it at 30.6 mega hash out of the box for Ethereum. Fan speed's at 47%. We're letting auto on the fan. We'll try a few series towards the end where I just spin the fan all the way up to see if it goes up, because if it's temperature throttling, which it should be doing after 75 Celsius, not 72, so right now it doesn't look like it's temperature throttling. At 75 it should start to knock it down. So out of the gate, that's what it's doing. 192 watts per card, 30. If we look at, turn off the thermal. Let's try Ubiq. And the reason why we're trying Ubiq, which is still kind of like Ethereum, is because with this driver versus having the blockchain driver, right now I want to see the difference between if the newest driver for AMD matters, you know, or if it incorporated any of the blockchain features with the latest version to see. And we can really kind of tell that organically through trying like something like Ubiq, because Ubiq has a much lower DAG. So we're trying option 33 now, which is Ubiq. out of the gate. It does cool the card down pretty quick. It's already down to 50. And yes, there's the blockchain driver difference. So 2 mega hash with a low DAG is what we're looking at. 32.9, we're almost at 33 mega hash. We're at roughly the same power usage right now. And we're getting around the same temps. So I'm not going to take a thermal on that because it's all about the same. I can see it right now from the GPU perspective here. So that's Ubiq. We're going to get through that, let the card cool down for a second to give everything a fair shot. We'll go, let's do, I'm going to write down a few more here. Zencoin, Litecoin, Dash, Z Classic. Sig, Tenum. We're gonna skip MusicCoin because MusicCoin and Expanse will have roughly the same exact output as the Ubiq because they have very low DAG files and they're still in the other. They're still using the same tech. So Feathercoin. We'll do Chaincoin. I already got that written down. Library. Directly, Hush, Siacoin by itself, and then XMR. Alright, so we got Ethereum and Ubiq, which kind of takes care of those pieces. Let's go ahead and try ZCASH. Again, this is out of the box, just right out of the they have. We're going to do 18. Should be Claymores. This is version 12.6 on the miner. Again, this is ZCASH. We're going to get this a lot on this. This is a fresh build. So out of the box, 412 hashes. We are getting accepted shares. We are also at the same amount of power usage. It's dropping a little. It might be it's throttling a little bit. Shouldn't throttle. We'll just do 412 to 408. How about that? Alright, that's ZCASH. We got a lot to get through, so I'm going to kind of go through this kind of quick, guys. So it really doesn't matter the order. Let's just Zcoin. Should be kind of close to the same thing. And we may just assume that Zcoin and Z Classic and all those are the same, but I'm gonna take a quick check at least from a baseline. $401, $405, $407. Yeah, it's getting about the same thing. It started high and then tailed off. Zencoin is roughly the same thing for, let's call it 411 to 408 to 411. So it is about the same as ZCASH. I'm gonna try some Litecoin. Now this is just for how does it do on script, right? Like not
good right now. I don't think it's really using that. Oh, the intensity is probably way too low. Because we're not using any power right now. 115. I think the intensity is too low. What we'll do with this is we'll go down. Down. ZCASH, Litecoin. And then this is where we would go and edit that. Let's try cryptocurrency 8. We're not going to do too much craziness here. Let's just take this to, see if that'll work. 20. Yeah, I don't think it's doing it. We may skip Litecoin right now. We're just going to say a DNR did not run correctly. That might take some configuration to get it to work with that version of the miner. 20 intensity is really high intensity too, so it's gonna make the machine get a little unstable for a second, like it just did there. Dash 54. So we're trying Dash right now, and it looks like it did not work. Does not support. Alright, do not run. Part of this is also for my checking and edification on if I need to make changes to, I choose the right one. I chose the right one. I thought it said CUDA SG miner before. Yeah, I did. Alright. It's giving me a CUDA error. That's why I'm, but it's launching CC. That's an error on my side. Error. It should be launching SG, not CC, so it's whatever. We'll fix that one. Z Classic could be the same as ZCASH, Signatum, 51. Again, this is a deep dive. If you guys are wanting me to sit there and start making all kinds of changes, this is going to be about an 1.5 hour video, and we'll get through making alterations and changes. Once I do the baseline, we're going to kind of skip through the big currencies and just do real quick test on the perturbations between the changes on power limit and memory and that. And we're gonna take it through a few different series on that. The baseline always takes a minute, and we'll see which coins we really want to hold to. Really, just Ethereum, Ubiq, the dual mining pieces we'll really probably stick to. But I want to try to give everybody at least a deep dive of what the thing is possible live. This is what I'd be doing without having the camera on anyways, is going through every freaking coin to try to kind of do that. So I'm taking you guys through this journey with me and see, you know, did you ever get Pimp OS running? Yes, I do have a version of Pimp. I did not get it running with the mining cards though. There's still a Linux driver issue with that. What's going on here? Sig. This is Signatum. It's not. It's taking its sweet time. Ooh. It's giving us a GPU thread error. Probably doesn't understand that one. Did not run. Did not run. Another DNR rather. Feathercoin 44. watts. I have another one that's not running. Now I have two machines running Feathercoin right now, so I know that the coding in this one's right. Might be just not liking how it's handling this card. So another did not run. It might require an update to 0.92 NeoScript miner. Not wanting to release the thread. He's using a gig of memory. Create a dump file. I'll look at that later. Note to self, don't run Feathercoin if you have a Vega. At least with our stuff. It will actually be faster to do a restart. As it releases that thread. Well, that's coming back up. We'll come back into other mining. We're gonna look to trying to do a stream tomorrow. I'd like to cover. So we had got a 4 adapter test, a test with the 3 adapter test that we have. I've seen a few people use these. I was out in DC this last week and met up with a fellow watcher, and they had a few extras of these. So we said, yeah, sure, we'll test that thing out. So we got one of the 4 box or 4 PCIe testers or adapters, and we'll be giving that a good try with the 3 adapter one that we have too, and try them both out. So that's just another cool thing to look at. All right, we're back up. Switch back. This back up. Again, we're just still doing the baseline testing. Having a lot of stuff that's not wanting to run with it, but the main algorithms right now are running with it. Go back to sensors over here. So Feathercoin we're putting do not run. So Dash, Litecoin, Feathercoin, and Signaton is not. Let's try Digibyte. Again, this is baseline testing on it. The good thing is when I start going through all the speed adjustments and power adjustments and stuff, there's not going to be much that we'll be testing. So make it go faster. So Digi is working. This is the growth stool version, and we're right at 2 mega hash. Uh, 1.7. It's dropping. Not much power usage. Like, it's idling at 2 mega hash. So I don't know how much it's actually really doing. I think 2 megahash is really horrible, by the way. It should be like 50 or 60. But the card's not doing anything. There's no heat on the card. It's only 27. I don't think this is really... Let's check the thread, make sure it's not pegging the CPU. Nope. Yeah, I mean, it's only 20. I don't think this is actually using the card. Well, that's almost gonna did run, but don't waste your time. Let's try a library directly. Again, what's probably going to be is a lot of these SG miners. Yep, that's not running either. Killing the thread. The SG and the CG and the CC miners out there really just need to be updated. This is what it's coming down to. Claymore was on point like normal and just updated his miner to handle it, and that seems to be the current consensus here when it comes to Vega. Is that stuff's just running on his miner, no problem. I'm going to assume that, like, if I try to run Pascal the same, it's going to have the same kind of thing because it's using SG Miner 5.5. Well, Pascal's working, kind of. .28 mega hash, 34 mega hash, 34 mega hash. And that's not using any power, so I don't think it's really... Actually, that is using the... That's not even using the... So, SG Miner 5.5 skipped over the fact that there's a Vega in there, and it's actually using the built-in GPU on the Intel processor. It's actually mining right now 32 mega hash on the HG 530 that's built into the so there you go. It's using the Intel, which is that's actually the graphics card that's on the i5 processor. And so if you wanted to know what the i5 6th gen Intel HD 530 can do on Pascal, it gets 33 mega hash. And it's using about 8 watts of power. So a side note, 8 watts of power on Intel HD 530, you get 34 mega hash. Who needs a card? Exactly. Just run a fleet of i7s and i5s. Somebody's going to have to do some math and figure out, is that profitable for Pascal right now at 34 mega hash at 8 watts? Technically, you should take the full system power because that's just a thing. So of course we have to try Monero. We're gonna going forward, it looks like we're just gonna be doing ZCASH, Ubiq, Ethereum, and then the Ethereum Ethereum. Oh no. So that is XMR not working with it either. So all these things need to just be updated. All these binaries need to be updated to support Vega. Do not run, or did not run. Is what it comes down to. So at least our 5.5 version that has built from source those other versions of of stuff. I'm going to try Siacoin directly, and then we're going to get into modifying some stuff. So Siacoin is working. We're getting right about 1936 mega hash. Running Sia directly using GoMiner. Oh, that went up to 21, and that's using a lot of power. That's using 25 more watts of power. I don't think that's all of Vega though, because right now it shows that it's using the Intel HD graphics card also. I think we're getting a false positive here, and we're getting both the CPU spun all the way up, and we're getting the, let's look here. Well, so the CPU's not executing, but the actual GPU side of the CPU is executing. I'm sketchy on that because we're not showing all of that. So Sia 2100. I'm going to put a star next to it. 2175 mega hash. I mean, we're getting some that are 1936 and then some that are 2175. I'm betting the delta between the 1936 and the 2175 is the addition of what the Intel graphics card's doing. So whatever that is, I'm going to put both of those with a slash 1936 8, and then I'm going to put IGP question mark delta. And I'm going to put it at 300 watts question mark IGP. Alright, so that's Siacoin by itself, and that did work. And I think we're really close to the end of all the testing on it baselining. We are. I mean, we could try ETH Classic, but it should be the exact same output as ETH. So, okay. So that was all the baseline testing. So essentially 30 mega hash ETH, 32 mega hash Ubiq, because we're using the latest drivers. 408 to 411, ZCASH performance, 2175, Siacoin by itself. Let's do some quick test on dual mining, and then we'll roll over. We'll do dual mining performance with ETH and Ubiq. So dual mining Siacoin 4 out of the gate. So I'm going to call this just normal, and then low intensity, high intensity. So here it is out of the gate, not changing the intensity right out of the gate. So we're at 30. $9.05, and we're at 276. That is really good performance for the fact that we're dual mining, and the power difference is this pretty much outright the same, 274. There was not a big increase in power. $274. So power is roughly the same. I mean, 3 watts difference between dual mining and not dual mining. It's a no-brainer that if you have a Vega, you should be dual mining. Like, you're not using more power. You're barely using more power. where that's not the case on RX 580s. So let's try to bring the intensity down. Didn't really change anything besides reduce. Let's take the intensity all the way up to 100. So that gives you 1500. Low intensity did not change much. And then high intensity at 100, 15 ETH, 1500 Psi, 1579. Power usage the same, 278. Let's check the cred and Ethereum number 5. Again, stock performance. We're at 30.2 and 905, the exact same settings as Siacoin, essentially, at essentially the same power, 277. Again, let's take this down. We did not increase really at all in Ethereum. Let's take it even lower. Yeah, all we're doing is just taking away decred. The Ethereum, when you're low, just decreases decred. Ethereum essentially stays the same. I'm hitting the plus and the minus to move these for folks that don't know how to do that. And then now we're getting more decred on when we're running high on the intensity. We drop Ethereum only to 25.8 and we're getting 2587 decred at essentially the same power, 277. Not bad. I bet you there's probably a pretty happy medium here. Let's turn that back on. Yeah, so 50 intensity essentially gives you the same amount of Ethereum as 30 intensity, but you get a bump from 900 decred to 1500 decred. That seems to be kind of a good sweet spot there. Let's bring this up to where we start losing Ethereum. 60 intensity. Does Ethereum drop below 30? Still at 30, now we're at 1800. Let's go to 70 intensity. We're now just at the edge of 30, and we're at 2100 at 70 intensity. 70 intensity equals 30 mega hash ETH and 2000, let's just call it 2090 Decred. And this is stock. This is bone stock. We haven't touched anything yet. Out of the gate, this is what the output is. We're dipping down into 29, but I think we might be temperature. No, we're still at 20. Let's call this as it is. As on that, we're at 280 watts of power usage. Yeah, if these cards came out as like what they were supposed to be at $399, these would be pretty decent prices for being able to do a little bit of gaming and being able to do some other stuff. So let's try ETH and Pascal. Which is number 7 on this list. So it's essentially almost getting 1070 numbers, but you have the ability to do dual mining with it. A lot better than a 1070. But yet you're going to be using more power right now. When we get into lowering the power and stuff, if we can see these kind of numbers with lower power settings, it might be worth a shakedown here. But it still comes down. At the prices that these things are, I mean, we paid $600 for this card. That's crazy talk. So we're at 30,900. Again, this is following pretty part and parcel of all the rest of them. 30,900 at 227 or 277 power. Let's lower it down. Did nothing. So low intensity just outright blows. Let's go full tilt to 100. $1,200. So that takes a big hit on 12 ETH. 1264 Pascal. Let's take it to 70 and see if we can get back down to 30 ETH. No, so Pascal takes a lot more hit at 70 intensity. 14 and 1190. And let's take it down further. $22, 1100 at 50. Now you start dropping after 33 intensity. You start dropping off of 30. Looks like about 31 intensity. Seems to be a kind of a quick, I mean, just quickly checking it, a quick and easy hotspot. About 29 ETH and $900. Actually, 28 is. Yeah. Yeah, 29 to 31 is where really you want to be at Pascal. All right. So we tested that. Now Ubiq would be roughly giving you an idea of if you had the blockchain driver in there. So I'm not going to go through Ubiq on that. Just it'd be about 2 more on the on Ethereum equivalent, or it'd be 2 more on Ubiq on all those numbers that we just went through. So let's start doing some overclocking and stuff. So let this thing cool down. Wow, we're using less electricity on the baseline. Our original baseline was 80, now we're only using 65. Wonder if the processor was working when we were taking the earlier baseline. I put a 65 question mark on there. It's very critical to know exactly where our baseline is, because it's going to give us incorrect results and expectations whenever we're benchmarking this card. So now if we start dropping some voltages and stuff and output on the card and we see like a 20 watt difference, well, I mean, that could have been because now we're starting at a different baseline. So that's why that's critical to take those readings and find out, you know, when we were doing our earlier testing, we were at 80.5 and now we're at 65 and the machine's not doing anything. It could have been the machine was actually working in the background doing some kind of updating processes or something and taxing the, pulling another 20 watts of power from just doing those activities. But at idle right now we're still holding 50 Celsius, so I know that it's not the GPU doing it. So now let's go ahead and bring up Afterburner. We're going to do some stuff here. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time bumping up the power limit because quite frankly that's kind of a waste of money for people, but we will take one shot at it. The putting the power limit to 33 and this guy to, let's say, 1,000. This to 1,200. Start a new page. We'll just see what this thing can juice up to, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because the idea of this is what is the most efficiency, you know, use of the card from a power and for a power cost output standpoint. But people like to see how fast a card goes, type of thing, right? So even if it's inefficient. Like if you have a Ferrari, sometimes you want to step on it, even though you're going to be burning a lot of gas. So let's do, where's my shortcut? I'm going to bring my shortcut up here. There we go. So number 3, Ethereum. Quickly, just with those bonuses, like a MMO. We've increased goods. Let's see here. So PL 33%, GPU 1200, MEM 1K, ETH. Don't think it's holding it. I don't think it actually took those settings. I'm going to reboot this real quick. I do not think it took that. It didn't change the power, and I know that when you feed this card more energy, uses it. So we're giving it a quick reboot. Sometimes you'll have those. We'll go back to this why it's rebooting. Sometimes you'll have that to where you've done some things on it, or you've caused it to become unstable, and it just won't take any of those settings. So quick reboot, and we'll get back to it. All right, back in. We gotta get our sensors up here. We're definitely using it now. Got a pretty good power increase. So we're at 346 watts. 37.383. We're already see we're at 75 Celsius here, and we're throttling down. So now we're at 34. So it temp throttled right away. Temp throttle to 34. However, we did not drop much on wattage when it temp throttled. That's why getting the temperatures under control are a big deal. We're at 81 Celsius. And this thing feels like a hairdryer. Take a reading on the FLIR. $133.7 on the exhaust. And it feels like it. About an 8 degree increase in temperature. You guys want to see a thermal reading on the card itself to see where the hot spots are. You can take a shot of that. There's the card, and there's 166 on the back of it. That is something you would not want to touch physically. Just looking to see if there's any other hot spots on the card. Really just the back plate. It's pretty typical of most graphics cards, but just the back plate's a lot hotter. The actual outer surface of the actual card itself is about 114, which I mean it's hot to the touch, but yeah, I mean it's 160 on the very, very back. Our exhaust is a little hotter now. So we're at 148 on the exhaust now. And it feels like 148. And we're temperature throttled down to 33.6. and we're down to 322 wattage, 34, 33.3. Temp throttling. Look at the hotspots on that. It's showing 95 Celsius here, 95. So HBM memory is 95 Celsius. Like, are you freaking kidding me? So let's go ahead and try. I don't know if this was not working when I was trying it before. Yeah, it's kicking it back. Let's do. I think I got on bitsweetrippin.com. If I go into Discord, I think we have it under our sure. So we should have under resources. And if we don't, then I am going to have them at it. I don't see it. So usually I try to put all the resources out there, or Blueberry does. I'm in AMD tool. We can just use that to change the speed. There she is. Now we got the thing cooking. If you guys are trying to tell me in chat Yeah, I'm not really paying attention to that. I don't have anybody over here telling me chat, so. Oh, now we're at 35 Celsius if you want to listen to a fan. So on the baseline testing, we were never hitting 75 Celsius, so it's not really, it's kind of a moot point. But on this one, this matters, so especially when we're throwing more power limit to it. Get that strap down, it's about to levitate. You're about right. All right, let's go back into Ethereum. Let's see baseline with the turbo fans on. Oh, this is cool now. There, before temps, 92 exit exhaust temps. $37.4, we're sitting at 52, 53 Celsius. Yeah, in a mining farm, I guess it wouldn't matter too much, but yeah, we're sitting there right around 60. Still holding 37. Now again, this is with the latest AMD drivers, so this is not the blockchain driver. So now we got that reading, we're at about 37.1. Let's try Ubiq, which will give us an indicator of low DAG. Number 33 option. I've had my coffee behind this. It's kept this tin warm. So there's Ubiq. That gives you an idea. 41 to 40 mega hash. Ubiq with these settings. Let's just call it 40.8. We're at 350 watts of power, which is crazy talk. About 220. A little more than that. You get about 220 coming off the card, and then about another 30 from the slot itself. So 250, about 30 to 35 actually coming off the slot. Because the reading that you're seeing in GPU Z is essentially just the card, not necessarily the power that's coming off the slot too. So you got the PCIe that you got to account for there too. And that's the delta between the system power and the graphics card's power that it's getting from the actual overhead from the top. Temp wise, we're setting at 62, 63 Celsius. HBM temperature, we're right there at about 77, 78. We'll take another reading real quick. So exhaust exit. A lot less, 113. And then on the back of the card, where we were at 165 before. That's not a good reading. Let me get it right in the center. So we're at 134, right on the hot spot of the back of the card, Fahrenheit. And yes, I am having to yell because yeah, we're up to 41.5. This thing's going up. It's going the right direction. 41.5 mega hash. So if power is not a concern, fans at about 95% right now. We're at 63 Celsius. This thing turns out about 41.5 on Ubiq. But you're going to be using we'll do both calculations. So 350 minus 80, anywhere from 270 to 290 per card. That's the card and the slot, the supporting slot power that you're going to be pulling. So you could do that math times, you know, if you did like an 8-card rig, there's your wattage just in cards on an 8-card. Crazy talk. You're looking at like two 1400 watt power supplies, maybe two 1600 watt power supplies on an 8-card rig. If you wanted to tilt it all the way up to 41 mega hash and crank out that's a lot of power. That's like 290X days. And this is giving you about 10 more mega hash than a 290X at the same power. Not even a 390. A 390 would be less. A 390 would be about 30 mega hash at like 6 cards, 1600 watts, 1550 watts. So 8 cards would be 1900 watts versus 2300 watts. So let's do, just for shits and giggles, let's max it. I'm going to leave the core clock up because we're going to try some dual mining with it. And I'm going to have to do that inside of here. Get that back in order. And we're going to come back in here. And we're going to try Ethereum, and we'll try Ubiq one more time with just everything maxed out. People are going to ask this question. They're going to say, I don't care about power. I live, like, let's say in Venezuela, and I get cheap power, and I have access to these, and if I go full tilt on them, what can I get? You do that. On Ethereum, again, this is Ethereum, so get that 41 out of your mind if you're using the latest driver. You're looking at 37.5, 384. So we're feeding it all the power in the world that it wants. 384 minus 80. We're giving it 305 watts. Now the card's using about 275, 280, and then the delta and that 304 is the slot. So yes, we're staying within the TDP of the card, but it's the slot that's pulling the juice. So 37 there. 0.5. And then let's try Ubiq 33 to see if we're getting any change. We didn't get much of a change between 33 and 33 power limit and 50. Bottom line, it was about 0.4 hash. 41.3, not much. It's not worth it. It's a 33 power limit is giving you the same as 50, essentially. That's ETH at 50 power limit. Ubiq 41.3 at 385 watts. I'm going to try dual mining real quick with it, just because we have a measurement. We're going to try ETH and this. I just want to see if the power limit matters on the dual mining. We're going to take it back to 33 here in a second. So on a 50 power limit, ETH plus Sia 34 1000 at base intensity. Let's go to our what we like intensity wise and go to 50 or 75 actually. 50, it's 25 1293. We're still, so the dual mining is not mattering at all on the power. At 70 is horrible. 1344. Let's come back down. 33. On the dual mine. Now that did matter on the power because we were at 34 1000 when we were at 33. We're at 3.5. We dropped 30 watts on this, but we dropped 4 mega hash on Ethereum. We're at 30 at base intensity, 30 and 905, where the 50% was at 34 and 1000. And we're at, yeah, it's holding the same numbers there. So we're going to take a safe assumption that those are the same numbers through 70% or 70 intensity, 19, 13, 50. But we're at 30 watts less. Before we change this, I'm going to try ZCASH because people are going to want to see that with power limits. So 18. So again, we have base clocks, but with more power fed. ZCASH 33% power limit. Base 1000 memory. 473. hashes at 349 wattage. $373 to $465. Still using a lot of power. $21. We're trying just Siacoin because that worked before. It's actually less. Actually, there's no change. We were at 1936 before, we're at 1931. No change with more power. Actually less. We had a decrease with more power. Sia only 1746 at 33%. Or is this, are we at 50? Where are we at? We're at 33%. That's a decrease. That's crazy. I'm going to take this back up to 50 and try ZCASH real quick because we did not do that. I think ZCASH was 16. So all I did is bump up the power limit to 50 because we did not do that with ZCASH just a second ago. 50% power limit. $485. We're using 371 watts of power versus 350. We're back down to 365. Or sorry, 465. 470. $471, $472. So let's just call it 470, which is essentially the same thing. No beneficial increase at all going from 33 power limit to 50 power limit besides using more power, 30 watts more power. Hash rates were the same essentially. So let's try, let's do more of a proper test. That was a quick swing through of just giving her the beans and seeing what it'll do. What we're going to do now is optimize it from a power limit level and then work our way up. So we're going to go all the way down to -40. We're going to unlink that. We're going to put this back to 5. $1,100. Leave that there. We're going to check the temps and then I'm going to start backing the fan down. I'm going to leave it high right now, but then as we get to lock in a good power limit and we find something that's good, I'm going to start stair-stepping the fan down, or walking down the stairs in the fan to make it less audible and seeing where we get right into a good temperature threshold. Probably trying to hold it right around 70 Celsius. But that's kind of the goal right now. And then we need to get Wattool, and we could drop the voltage too. Somebody find me a link to the latest Wattool and post it in Discord. Put the latest Wattool in Discord. That way I have it on this computer, and then I'm gonna work through the power limit right now while you guys are doing that, and then just put in the chat that you guys got it out there. That way I don't have to sit there and waste your guys' time tracking it down. And we'll play with the voltage, or we'll play with the wattage. So we're gonna go right now with a low power limit. And let's do Ethereum at 1100 GPU, negative 40. $1,000 mem. $25.7 mega hash at 200 watts. We're at 98 watts on the card. And about 30 watts, so we're at about 130, 135 watts from the card plus the slot, and then the delta is up to the 200. And we're not close to using or hitting the power. So I'm gonna start backing this down a bit on the audio, on the heat rather. Bring that down a bit. 60%. Let it heat up a little bit more. We dropped it 5 watts by dropping that. So about 129, 128 watts total card at 25. We're going to play with this to get a good setting, and then we'll do a benchmark on. So let's do negative 25. And 3. Somebody let me know if it's in Discord yet. The link to Wattman or Wattool. $26. Again, this is not the Ethereum, this is the latest driver. So this should be about 28 to 29. We're going to try it right now with Ubiq to give you guys kind of an idea of what it would be with the blockchain driver. Oops. So there's with the blockchain driver. We're at 225 watt, or without the blockchain driver, but at least on Ubiq to give you kind of an idea of what, with a low DAG, what it would be. So almost 29. Ubiq. Holding 60 Celsius. And we're at full system wattage of 227. 123 on the card, plus about another 30, so about 155 just for the card itself. And the reason why I give you the whole card itself calculation is you could take, that's how you can kind of model if you're going to put multiples of these in there. So you're looking at about 35 at max 40 watts. I mean, it could pull the 45 watts per slot, or so your riser power cost essentially. So you'd be looking at 135 in this setting times, you know, if you were doing an 8 card rig, you're looking at 1080 watts just from the cards at 28.5. So I mean, essentially like a 480X right now. So not really worth it when the cost is more than a 480X. Negative 15 there. Now we could do some changes with some wattages here and get it down probably more. We're going to go to Ubiq. What we're doing is trying to find a good setting right now, and then we'll go through the quick gamut test across all the ones that we did on the baseline. 28.5, 246, 139 watts. Now this, with a little bit of voltage adjustment, I think would be getting us into the range, but we really want to be in the mid to low 30s with this card, is where it really needs to be to compete with the 1070. You know, Wattman's carrying the settings as they are. I don't think this still works, even with the latest driver. We can check. And see. Nah, I didn't see a change in the voltages. We're setting at 28.643 on Ubiq at a 235 watts. Not adjusting that. Still not seeing any real change. I don't think that this one is actually still working with the latest drivers. At least it's not showing that it is. A brief second at 31. Memory clock showing 700 though. So it's not actually taking the memory clock. That's why that we're seeing the speeds that we're seeing. We should be seeing 1,000 on the mem clock, and we're not. And we may have. There's the GPU mem clock. Nope, it went back to 700. I'm gonna reboot it real quick and see. All the settings, I think we have in both WattMan and Afterburners kind of jacking with it. I love the channel. Yeah, a lot of the, yeah, it's just super inconsistent. Like, I think when both tools are trying to interact with the card, it's just causing an issue, and it's either one or the other. And when you start mixing the streams, you know, they say don't cross the streams, right? So I mean, we're crossing the streams, it's jacking shit up. So let's just try WattMan. Does anybody link Wattool? We'll just try we'll just try WattMan by itself. Won't mess with the Afterburner. We're doing custom. You must set P6 and P7 differently. P7's a little buggy. Yeah, the states. Yeah, so I've seen the need to set the different settings differently. If you tune them the same, that you've had some issues. I do agree with that. We'll try to leave those there. We'll try to leave this at 920. We're going to leave this at 1,000. We're going to leave this at 60%. I do want to have a meter up, or a measure up though. Let's get this over. I want this up. Anybody link the Wattool in Discord for I don't have to go search the bowels of the internet for it? I don't have it on this PC. Let's see here. Somebody link it in general. Mim clock's not moving. So in general, in Discord, if you guys got the Wattool, link it in there and I'll use it. So we're at 36 right now. It looks like it is taking the memory increase now. $35, 36, 130 watts. This is getting more like it. So 246 watts at 35.7 mega hash at 950. Let that run for a second. It's tripping. Somebody linked it. Don't mind the dog. Let's see here, general. Oh, how about somebody link it with the actual, like you can upload the, like do this. I don't want to sign in right now. So somebody like download that and then just link it into Discord. So that is a lot better. I still think we can get the wattage down. We're setting at core clock 1149, mem clock holding at 950. Let's do 75. Again, we're doing Ubiq, and I'm going to write this one down. So if we're at 975 mem, I don't think it took because it's staying at 700. $9.55. $36.5. So it is taking $9.55. It just doesn't like $9.75. Yeah, there's some kind of protection or something that's just, or if it's not hitting the right amount of voltage. I got this set to 920. I don't think this is doing anything though. $960, let's try that. It's holding $960. Still down a little bit. Let's see if the actual tool could just leave up Discord, I guess. Let me do this. Make sure I'm muting that. Yeah, somebody downloads the tool and then just drags it to Discord general chat, and then I'll just pull down that zip. Because right now this is making me log in, and I'm not doing that right now. So we may just go with this. We're going to stair step this until it stops letting me do it. Nope. It stepped up for a second and then went right back down. $970. $965 is it. At least with that tool. $965 seems to be holding. This is not mattering at all, the voltage. I'm seeing no change here in adjusting. Set voltage to auto. And that stair stepped it back down. There we go. That's more like it. Auto for the win. That looks like that's holding 40. So if we set volts to auto, 965 watts, or 965 on the MIM setting. We are setting at, and mind you, the power limit right now is at negative 15%, I believe. Let's see here. Frequency's at negative 4. Frequency. Power limit's at negative 15%. We're at 38, 37. We're at 240 watts. 248 watts. Between this plus the 35, yeah, about 170 watts. 170 watts right now with the 15. So that's more than like a 1080 Ti right now. That's actually better wattage and higher output than a 1080 Ti right now. Because the 1080 Ti, you do about 205 watts for about the same settings if you're tilted all the way up. So right now, this is outperforming a 1080 Ti both in power and in performance. The MIM is right up here, so it is showing this. The Wattool is not accurate. Bottom line, guys, we know this, right? Like right now, it's showing 965, but there it is, 700. So I think this is just error in reading. Like this is just when it's pinging the sensor, it's getting the reading, and then when it's on the way the APIs on this output is interpreting it. It's losing its setting and it's just going back to whatever its default setting is in the actual reference in the cache of the API or something in this. However they coded this API, they just to the sensor is shit, because it should stay constant. Because we're staying 39. Yeah, if this card was $399. If this card was $399, this would be probably hands down one of the better deals out there for the output that you're getting. So this is getting about as close as we are right now on settings. I think we can go with this for right now. As we kind of stair step this, we could play with a little bit of the power limiter right now and just see if we get a better output of it. But I think negative 15%. Is going to be really let's draw it down to 20 and see how bad it handicaps it. And then I want to go through all the other coin types at these settings. Now the dual mining is going to take a hit a little bit because we've downgraded the GPU settings with regards to the actual output of the GPU a bit. 37. We didn't drop much of any of wattage. We dropped 10 watts for a couple mega hash. I mean, that really needs to drop to like 120 or lower to make that probably worth it. So now we're at 240. I mean, we're pretty much almost the same. We didn't really drop much, but we definitely dropped in mega hash. Blazer's saying if I put the 64 BIOS on it, that we'll get 44 out of it. But that's for a different video. So I think the sweet spot right now definitely is that 15. We'll do 10. Come on, slider. Work with me, slider. Let it freeze up. There we go. There we go. 10. And then we'll go through the rest of the settings here. So power limit. %. Takes us to 256 wattage. 40 mega hash. So again, that's about 175, 180 mega or 180 watts between the slot and the actual extra power on the card for 40. So let's go ahead and do the other coins real quick, and then what I'll do is I'll pull off this driver. We'll put the we'll do the DDU. We'll put the blockchain driver on it, and then that's where we'll end it today. We'll do the rest of the testing on this. And what we're doing is, guys, I mean, I know a lot of the guys are offering very good advice, and I'm using it because this is our first test with the 56, so I do value the input, guys. But doing this live, I think, is a very big beneficial to everybody. So I know it's frustrating if you know the answer to the... It's like going through the test and learning the ability to do the test, right? And you already know some of the answers if you've done enough research or you own these cards yourself and you're just like, oh my God, just go straight to the end. The journey is part of that path for all kinds of reasons. Essentially, we're showing people how to get there. If they get the card the very first time or a new card, they can kind of go through the same kind of steps of the perturbations that it takes to get there, just as you've done if you already own this card and you know kind of the answer, or you've seen a blog that's done all those perturbations. We're kind of going through that activity. So part of this is the I'd call it the Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off, right? So it's a lot of work. It seems a little frustrating, but at the end, it makes us all a little better on getting there. Just because if we say go to these settings, just getting there sometimes is hard for people. So if you're watching and you're just frustrated because you know the answer to some of this, so let's do, okay, so let's just do now straight up baseline. And this was a sample testing. I'm keeping track of all this because I'm going to put this all in a blog. That way it's all one-stop shop for everybody. So now we're gonna leave this set to -10%. 1100 GPU, auto voltages. $965 mem. Ethereum. 36.9 at 255 watts full system. Let's do number 4, which is ETH and Sia. Out of the gate, 28.5, 855 Sia. at base intensity of 30. At 50. $23.5. 1173. Same wattage. 70. That's crappy. 16.562, same wattage at 1319. Five. Testing, crashing, or testing, changing, crashing, testing is what mining is. That's absolutely right. A 56 and a 64 are essentially the same thing. Yeah, that's what it's sounding like. And that's funny because they're almost the same damn price, the bastards. ETH and ETH Decred out of the gate 32.0 and 960 at 255 watts. .50 intensity. $28.9. 1447. Decred is definitely a lot less of an impact than Sia, because we're at 28 and 1400, where Sia at 50 intensity is 23.5 and 1100. So about 20% difference there. 18. Oops. Let's go back to that real quick. I need to do a 70 intensity. .70 intensity is 25.5, 1789. Again, I'm going to have all these in a spreadsheet and a blog, guys, so you guys can just go one-stop shop there. And we've done this with the 64 too, so I'll be able to add those and you can do the cross comparison. And then the ultimate test is to take the 64 BIOS, as you guys are referring to, putting it on this 56. Then setting the settings accordingly, and then showing the kind of merger of the two to say, pretty much if you get a 56 and then you apply that 64 BIOS and do these settings, you're essentially in the same boat as buying the 64. All right. Let's do ETH Pascal coin 6. Oh, that's library. You know, we never did library credits on base. I don't know why I skipped that. So we never did a baseline test on library. I might have to go back and do that. ETH and library. 32.5 and 93.7 at also 255 watts. .50 intensity. 29. That didn't take too big of a hit on 50 intensity. 29.8 and 123.1 at 50 intensity at essentially the same wattage. It went up a couple watts, 260. I'm going to note that. And then at 70 intensity, it actually didn't decrease that much more either. 27.2 and 146.4 mega hash. Not bad at all. Ooh, putting out some heat. I feel it. We're almost to 70 Celsius now. I'm going to go ahead and take this to 100 just because I want to. On this particular one, so that's 70. Let's do 100 intensity on library. 25.4 and 178 library credits. Shit, 185. What am I talking about? 185. It's settled in. Don't mind the dog. That's my guard dog. One of the neighbors looking for my kids. All right, so no cats around here either. Let's look at... Did we try library credits by itself? I don't think we did. If it worked. I don't know if it would work with this. We'll see. No, we tried and it didn't work. All right. ZCASH performance at these settings. 18. ZCASH. Does your dog bite? No, it's like the smallest little dog. Four, 7, 2 hashes at 255 watts. Cycling down a little bit. 2 7, 2 4, or no, so 4 6 7. So 472 to 467 hashes. Same wattage, 255. A puppy cam for the stream. Hey, I'm just glad the quality's been solid tonight, or today. For anybody that's been watching our videos lately, they've been really, really crappy quality. They fixed the new router and the new modem really helped out. Can't see the temps here. So that's ZCASH. Let's try... Siacoin directly with GoMiner. $293. So that 290 or 280 that it is definitely using the internal GPU also. So on the this setting's kind of a moot point actually. It's a tainted result, as I would call it. because it's using the onboard. 176.183. So it's 1803. We get really weird results out of this. Hush should be a really the same thing as the we'll just do it for shits and giggles, but I think Hush is going to be really close to ZCASH, or it should be. It might be a little more, but I'm just doing it for yeah, it's about the same. Signatum I don't think was working. I will try it one more time just for giggles. AMD only 51. I think I need to update the SGMiner on this to make it work. But we'll see if it loads. Oh, it loaded. I don't think it's not using the Vega. It is getting 262K or 300K off of the Intel onboard, I think. I think that's using the Intel onboard. GPU and utilization. It's getting 349K off of the Intel HD 530. So it's not seeing this Vega. It's not using it. So I'll have to look in compiling an SGMiner that works with the Vega. You guys want to see it with Cinebench? So I think we went through all of those at those settings. I think these are the settings we're going to leave it at right now. And then we did all of the dual mining. We did not do Digibyte. Oh, I think Digibyte was just using the local, again, the local GPU, Digibyte, SG41. Yeah, I think Digibyte was just using the local GPU. Yeah, it's getting 2 mega hash using the Intel HD GPU. So that is not using that card. So I don't think we have anything else that it can test. Because a lot of it, like the Ubiq and all that stuff's going to be using, it's going to be getting the same settings and stuff. So let's go ahead and do the blockchain drivers, and then we'll wrap this up. Monero is not working on the version that I have. Feathercoin was not working either. Feathercoin actually made me restart. I want the latest version of this. Let's make sure it properly... Oh, you guys see some of my games on here. I'll leave online. You got any EVE players on here? It's pulling the drivers. It just got quiet. Letting it restart. We'll go back to this. So again, all this data is going to be tabulated into. So I'm going to give you guys what the scope of the rest of the day is after I get done with this. After this video is done, I'm going to tabulate all this stuff into a blog, and I'm going to post that on Steemit, and I'll post it on Twitter, so you guys will see all the numbers. So if you missed it, and you can get through it, this is probably going to be a 3-hour live stream. You'll be able to see all the results just tabular, just to be able to get to the data really quick. What settings we used, all that kind of stuff, right? So to give you a summation of it. The other two things, I have Mark, our graphics guy that's helping with the website stuff. I'm gonna be reaching out to him today, and through tomorrow we're gonna get the new website deployed by Sunday. That is the goal. That's gonna have a Shopify site, because a lot of people have been asking about shirts and stuff. We're gonna try to keep that super cheap. I ordered a whole bunch of stuff to put on there, risers, a few other things. So we'll have that out there. Again, I'm trying to extend as cheap as I can to you guys. We're not gonna make a ton of money on that. It's more of just a community service. It should be cheaper than anything else out there, price-wise, when it comes to like shirts and risers and stuff like that. So we're gonna deploy that. I have the BIOSes that we have. We're gonna list out there. Pretty much our BIOS database. With the regular BIOSes and the modified BIOSes. That way you guys can at least get some access to those. And what those are is just the ones that we verified. So it's cards that we've had, that we've done stuff with. A lot of people have asked, and a lot of people have to go to our different videos to get to that. So it'll be just tabular form, card, brand, original BIOS, the change of the BIOS, of the stuff that we've done. Again, with any of that stuff, we'll try to link the video to where you guys know how to do that if you've never done that BIOS stuff. So just a few things like that I added on there. A big update to the troubleshooting thing, and then I'm taking some of the stuff that we have in Discord from a resource standpoint and just putting that on the site. A few things that are not done with it that I'm trying to get integrated, and what's held us up a lot is I didn't want to recreate a blog. What I was trying to do is port in just the Steemit site, because we're trying to do our Steemit blog. I'm trying to extend that actually through like an iframe into our site, to where you're actually hitting the Steemit site and you can log into Steemit and have all that kind of stuff, but have it as a portal, and it's proving to be a little more difficult than that. So essentially the blog portions of it will just take you to our Steemit. We're gonna have a link there, and it'll take us to our Steemit main page, just because that's just another way to do a monetization piece, and helps the channel out, helps me eventually get to the point that I can actually start hiring people and having a more regular content that is just focused on the mining community in general. This is not a community that's going away, even with pricing the way that they swing and stuff like that. This is a mainstay for a lot. I mean, people are always going to do grassroots mining for eternity, until proof of work or something else supplements proof of work that's better, and it's not proof of stake or any of that. There's still a lot of big open issues. I mean, look at Bitcoin still does proof of work, right? So there's going to be alt currencies that drive value for a long time. So we're trying to get it staged to where we can start having more regular content. I do a lot of traveling and cannot be on the screen all the time doing this stuff with you guys, but I'm trying to channel the information that I have in a way that allows it to get to the community more fast, a lot quicker, and or gives you guys a real no-kidding resource. So that baseline site will be out this weekend, and then we're going to platform off of that. Again, all of that's free. It's not member-based or anything like that. I've tried real hard to try to make sure that it's not that. We are looking at some point of having maybe something that's more tailored and straight to the point information to do that optimization, to give you guys nuggets of information that has been post-processed and direct, like a tree system, to where you can get to write, like, how do I do this? How do I do this? That kind of stuff takes a lot of work, to have somebody to go through and do that. And if I'm hiring somebody, that part might be a contribution thing. But I'm trying my best not to make it to where, it's an expense thing for you guys. So, we've tried to always be transparent with all that. But if we end up doing like a Patreon or something like that, it's going to have a roadmap. It's going to have a very transparent process of how it gets done and all that kind of stuff. So all we can do is lead by example to the community on that kind of stuff. So we're going to try to do, try to be an inspiring piece for like ICOs and people that are like that go and solicit for funds, to have a transparent roadmap and to what that value gets to. I've seen that Jax just started doing that with like their 30 days of Jax, to where they're showing you some kind of output each day, and bringing value to their product on that part. And our product is essentially our brand of bringing content to you guys that's relevant, and no kidding allows you guys to do work. So, we're just I'm trying to work with folks to enhance that and eventually get somebody hired that can keep content flowing to you guys. But just kind of giving you a quick intermediary update there. Let's get back to this, and it was like a PSA. Let's see here. Let's do blockchain driver. Look at how green that is. I love the color on this thing when it's not getting... That coloration stuff has everything to do with going through a capture card. So let's... AMD blockchain driver. And we are doing this. Downloading. Not super fast in the midday. We're only getting 5 megabits a second here. Purple today, yeah. Yeah, usually it's green. It just depends on what the output is. If people want to know how you get to there, you hit Control J if you're ever downloading something in Chrome, and it'll take you to the downloads, the Chrome //downloads. That way you can see where you're at. Sean Kang, now that you're almost done with the 56, would you recommend it over a 1070? If you can find them, it seems to be a better solution, honestly, right now, with just the limited testing that we've done right now. Go to downloads. Here we go. Run. But it comes down to I hated the fact that we paid $600 for it. Hated it. When the MSRP original price that was originally communicated was $399, and I get it if they're like, oh yeah, that was just total promotion, and yeah, they're actually $499. Well, I can't find them for $499 anywhere. They're all $600. So, it's. I would say it's still in that level of gouging because normally in pricing, if they were actually doing what I would call a price analysis based on output and what they could charge for the card, they would have had to do their own analysis to figure out where it is in the ecosystem and output. And what I mean by that is somebody somewhere in one of those offices that were setting price for AMD would have to be in there and doing a chart analysis of, here's an output of a 1070, here's their price. Here's an output of a 1060, here's their price. Here's the output of 570 RX 580s, 570s, 480s, 470s, and then they literally would create a chart of value to see where their target price should be on the card to figure out where it is based on performance. I cannot believe that AMD's done that kind of due diligence or analysis on it. I mean, I could be completely wrong on that, but the pricing that they would then recommend, what they would call MSRP, gives a base price for a price to consumer for the retailers as a suggestion. The creator can't set price, but I'll switch to this while I'm going through this because you don't need to see this. But I'm going to give you guys a quick 30 seconds if you really care on how margin and pricing works in companies in general. And I'm saying this from the grounds that for a year and a half, I was a senior pricing manager for a large Fortune 500 company. I had the entire Northeast from pricing standpoint. So I was setting price, not for graphics cards or anything like that. I was doing it actually for a different product. But the way it works is all about, as a producer in a 3-tier system, you have a producer, you have a wholesaler, and then you have a retailer. That's the 3-tier system. And from that, the retailer sells to a consumer. So it's 4 tiers of essentially margin, or 3 tiers of margin play to the time that it gets to a consumer. And what that means is that the people are not there for their health. They have to make money. That's the way business works. That's not the Antichrist. That's not the thing. That's how business works, right? This was like all the way back into the caveman when they were trading shells, right? They took effort to get something. They're going to want some sign of exchange, right? So they have to figure out what margin makes sense. And then you have potential. You have that first thing that you know what your cost was, and you know that you need to make money. So then there's a price. And then you look at the opportunity of maybe raising that price because it's a rare item or it's wanted. So that's when laws of supply and demand gets into play, right? Because you know what you need to make, otherwise you're losing money. But then you look at, well, if there's a huge demand for it, I can charge more, right? That's the basics on that. So I'm going to give this one reboot real quick, and then we'll get into doing some testing. So essentially, if they came out and said $399 is our price on this card, then they can figure out that's the target MSRP. So that's at the end tier, at the retailer level to the consumer. So you can backpedal that to the wholesaler. They have to make some money, and you can back that back to the actual producer, the creator of the product, right? So then you can look at if they're making 20% and then they're making 20%, and I'm just making 20% up. It depends. I mean, and the products that I was in, it was anywhere from 5% to 35%, depending on what product it was. And actual margin from us to a wholesaler. And the wholesaler is going to probably make another 15, 20%. That's not bad. They have to make money, right? So, but at the end product for a consumer has to be at least fair and just. And if the price difference between the producer and to the consumer way over here is like 300% markup, like we'll see with like HDMI cables at like a Best Buy, right? The production of that, we all know we can go to Monoprice or something else and we can buy them for like $7. When they've hit Best Buy and they're labeled with a big brand, they're like $40, right? So we know that there's a huge margin play between those points. GPUs, there can be a lot, but what I would look at is that, like Alibaba, if you're buying a raw, basic, non-branded card, what's the raw price from the cheapest suppliers there? And then figure out, like, if they're making 20% on their cards, there's probably not a lot of margin play there. And they probably have to pay royalties to the different vendors and that, so you look at how much margin is. So bottom line, all that being said, the way the margins work is that if AMD put out a suggested price and the retailers are taking said suggested price and adding $200 onto it, it just, you know, they're doing it on some kind of premise. I don't think they've done the due diligence where they went through the math and figured out that that's a good ideal price. They're just outright gouging people. So, and they can right now. If the output that we've done the due diligence on to figure out that, hey, this is where it is in the world compared to the other cards, and it's right now above a 1070 with the basic settings that we've done, then you can take the base 1070 price and then bump it up probably 10%, and then that's where it should be at, per se. The 1070s I have behind me here are the PNY 1070s, are getting 33, 34 mega hash a piece, and those were $429, right? So, and they're actually not using that much power, right? They're using 130 watts or so, maybe 100. I think they're 108 plus about 135, 140 watts of power a piece, right? So, and you can actually get those even lower and take a little hit, right? So, you're going to be using a little more power on this, but if you're getting 40, you'd start doing the equation there. These cards at bare minimum, all that bullshit aside, these cards at a bare minimum, to be fairly priced with what their performance is in the mining aspect, should be probably around the low 400s from a retailer making money standpoint, like 420, 430. that would be where the price per performance should be on this card. So the fact that they're 600 is just crazy talk. They're not worth $600. Outright not worth $600. They should be in the mid 400s. Otherwise, there's no reason for you not to get a 1070. That's just what it is. That's just straight up where the margins are at. Hopefully that was kind of valuable. And I mean, there could be a little more due diligence we could do on a whiteboard and start mapping out the pricing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, these are getting 40 mega hash compared to 33, but I'm telling you, I would still lean, unless your power situation's just crazy, like paying less than 6 cents per kilowatt or something, you're probably still better on a 399. I mean, those PNYs I've seen for $399 at Best Buy with a $30 discount, right? So $399 for a 1070 is still a better deal than $600 for this card. If the 56s, that they had the supply high enough to where they were really can compete from a volume standpoint, the 56s would be probably the one to go with. And I haven't done a lot of gaming testing to see if the 56 outperforms the 1070 in almost every category. I think it doesn't. I think it's pretty damn close, but it's I'll have to look. I haven't done a lot of research if other gamers and stuff have done the stuff. If you're just wanting to buy 1 or 2 cards for your situation and then mine at night, which is a good way to get into the game on just getting some crypto in general, if it's a good solution for you. All right, let's get back into this. We got the blockchain driver installed now. I'll have to put a timestamp in the middle there of this video because that's probably good information for some people. Let's check the settings. Gaming settings, Wattman. What we're going to do is go straight back to autos there. We're going to take this. Wow, I'll let you go 30% on that. We're going to go to 4. I want to replicate what we had. That's interesting. This one says the max is 800 there. It's auto bumping the GPU memory. If you notice it already had the target kind of set high or it would allow it to spin all the way up. We're going to bring this down just a little bit more. Alright, I think we're set where we were at. Oh, let's get this up. Ethereum, blockchain driver. $40 mega hash, Ethereum. I am not getting the GPU draw. It's not reading the sensor there, but we're at 257. So we're right around the same wattage usage which we were expecting. And we're setting temps holding around the 50s. at 67% fan. I could probably drop the fan some because we don't need to keep it that cool. But we're sitting at 40 mega hash, 40.1 with the blockchain driver. Alright, let's do Ubiq. Should be close to the same thing. Ubiq. $40.3. Same wattage, 257 watts. That's full system. That's about 175 watts on the card. Let's do ETH and Psi. Base settings 28 point, nope, 30. No, it's all over the place. 28, 27, 28, 28, 28, 29, 30. That is so weird. It is jumping all over. 28 to 30. And same wattage. 846. That's about the same as it was without the blockchain driver. I'm going to come down a little bit. Let's go to 25. Let's see if we can get it back into the 30s. 32. 32,700. Or 800. At 25 intensity. Yeah, it's, I mean, you can get back almost to 40 if you have the intensity at 1, but there's real no point. If you're only mining 39 mega hash on Sia, I mean, I guess if you're bored and you want to, that's not even worth it. Let's do 50. Ooh, didn't like something there. Got a JSON error for a second. So at 50, we're at 23, 1163. You would never do this, but I'm doing it. 70. Pretty much useless. 18, 13, 11. Getting some JSON errors. It's weird. Alright. Let's do 4. That GPU memory clock is like, I think, oh, there it is, 3. Yeah, the 700 is misleading. It's not. I don't think it is, unless it did bust it down to 700. Yeah, it busted it down to 700. may have to either up the power limit or drop the memory some. Let's see here, because this should stay at 950. It should not drop to 700. Oh, just had a hard free. We just killed it. Blew the driver. Let's give it a reset. It just actually reset everything on us. What we're probably gonna have to do is we're gonna have to feed it more memory. That was it trying to auto and it just died. So blockchain driver is a little buggy. There's a good chance we're gonna have to feed it some more power. It would have recovered this. I'm trying to keep it the same, where we were only using we were using 4% negative to the frequency. We probably should drop the frequency a little more. We're going to increase the power limit, which is kind of counter. It's probably not going to matter in 5%, but I'm going to take this down a little bit more. Since we're just doing Ethereum, I'm going to try to pull some power out of the GPU. I will reset the power back up, and I'll probably have to feed it more power when we do ZCASH. But we're going to leave this up, sensors down. And let's go back to dual mining 4. Still 700. What we're looking for is this to not drop down to 700. That's holding. So here's ETH Sia now. Now we're at... We went a little less aggressive on the memory settings. We're at 34 out of the gate and 1028 on Sia. Let's take it down to 21 and see if we can get the Ethereum up a little bit. So 30, if we're at 20, where are we at? 20, 21, 21. $37.2, 782, 269. I don't think that matters. I'm setting the manual guy, but it... Yeah, it's holding that. At least it's holding the 925. Yeah, the core clock, even if I set it manual, is not holding it. Mainly because state 5, it looks like it's just holding right up here. Yeah, the mining driver is not letting me change it. I think I did that before in the 64 and it was the same way. I hear you. I want to drive this thing. This is really what I want the settings to be. That's what I want the core to set at if I'm just doing Ubiq in that. But it is not taking it. Like if I just do that, let's look what the core does. Oh yeah, 1474. Burst it up. Now it's at 900. Let's see. Yeah, see, it's still. Oh, that's 900. These little spikes to 1400. It's still kind of weird. If I do dual mining with it, Sia. $11.38, $12.36. Yeah, it's still pushing it up. Yeah, I mean, even if I right-click on it and set them set as min, set as max. I mean, what I'm going to do today is let it run on the mining driver, but I'm probably going to go back. I mean, right now we're doing a lot of Ubiq mining. Here's the cred. So the cred out of the gate is crashing. So let's just say the mining driver is a lot more unstable. We are hard froze, folks. I saw that 211. I was like, oh, daddy. Hard freeze. A reboot. So I think the general consensus here is the mining driver sucks. They really need to put out another release of the mining driver. Highly unstable. I at this point, I wouldn't even recommend it, guys. I mean, we could do some more testing with it, but we did see that it fixes the stuff for Ethereum, but it made really no difference on Ubiq at all. And the gaming on it is even worse. Like I tried a game with a couple different GPUs with it, and it's just hard crash. So what I'm going to do real quick, and we'll wrap this up. We'll wrap this up at 3 hours and 30 minutes. So we'll do 20 some odd minutes. I'll do a few. So you guys want to stay in the channel or whatever? I'll tell you what. I'll take a poll real quick in chat. If you want to see like, let me go to this. If you want to see like Cinebench and a few other just benchmark stuff with it, I'll do a DDU. I'll put the latest driver back on it, and then we'll kind of steer away from mining the last half hour here, and we'll just throw some stuff at it real quick. If you guys want to see that, and then we'll just wrap that up. That way it's just not just a separate video, and then I can just put a timestamp in there to say the mining portion of this is kind of ended at this point. And I'll correlate all these numbers today and put them out there for everybody to see. But then we'll do like Cinebench, and we'll just run some benchmarks on it. If you guys want to see that, let me know, and we'll try what the Vega 56 can do on that side. So I'm gonna run the I'm gonna pull the mining driver off right now. It's just too unstable. I mean, we couldn't get through even starting our test. I mean, I know there's a lot of different YouTubers and stuff that do benchmarks and stuff, but you know, nobody does it live, man. I mean, they may play a game live and have like a frame counter, I guess, but we're still live, buddy. We should be able to ship international. I've shipped other stuff internationally. I usually don't have a problem with it. We're integrating. We're making sure we have Bitcoin and Litecoin and a couple others for payment. So it'd be kind of pointless to accept payments in not cryptocurrency. That'd be kind of just ridiculous. So I'm looking at how we can integrate all of it. I mean, Dash, Litecoin, pay us in Feathercoin. Hell, I don't care. You know, I mean, it's just on the hardware and stuff that we'll be dealing with there, you know, taking cryptocurrency should be a thing. And then we'll just have to, it's just interesting on how we have to post that as revenue realized, because I'm selling a product. So I've been looking at how I'm doing that, but I want to be able to accept cryptocurrency with it, and then that helps reconcile any kind of international stuff versus if I ship hardware, you know, and then somebody tries to do a reverse payment or something like that. So all right, let's get, we're just loading back the AMD driver. Let's do Express. I'll look at some of you guys' questions. We didn't get any super chats, did we? Okay, good. I hate missing those when people ask questions. When's the Vega giveaway? Yeah, we'll see. You guys got any questions? I'll answer some, be honest, because I'm looking at the chat. Oh, that's some interesting news. Somebody just posted that after Jamie Dimon called Bitcoin a fraud, claiming that he would fire any employee from his firm who traded the digital currency for being stupid. Now seems that JP Morgan has just been caught red-handed purchasing a bunch of XBN shares, otherwise known as XBN, the traded notes for the price tracking of Bitcoin. That's what you call a little market manipulation. According to public records from Nordnet trading logs, the two associated JP Morgan securities firms recently just bought 3 million euro worth of XBT noted shares. The JP Morgan team of buyers just purchased JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Barclays, buying the dip. Now, in a regulated market, guys, that's illegal. All right, let's see here. Yeah, for anybody that's bouncing out for this, thanks for watching the stream. We're gonna get this. I'm restarting now, and we're gonna switch this over, and we'll do some Cinebench and a few other things for the next 20 minutes. Dollar pound super chat like a boss. You know, the sad part, guys, is that if they actually feel and think that they were responsible by calling it out and then that they caused the dip, I would say the liquidity that was pulled out of China is probably where most of that, where that dip is occurring from, is because people just exited out of it. It really wasn't because JD Nyman said it's FUD. I mean, there could be some that's coming out of that, but I don't know. All right, I think we're back there. We're back up. Now we're going to leave base settings And then I may overclock a little bit on the GPU because, I mean, mind you, gaming's a little different. We'll let it do its thing there. Let's do, I think I got Cinebench on this. Let me look. Downloads. Nope. Let's go back here. Extract. Just making sure it wasn't anything crazy running in the background. Alright, Cinebench is opened. Alright, so first, I guess we can... What's an Intel i5 do? Now, this isn't going to be a Ryzen, folks, so it's going to be kind of... Oh my god, look how slow that is. Watching the Threadripper do this is pretty funny. i5 is pretty... 6th gen i5 is pretty slow. It makes you appreciate the Threadripper. It's like slow motion. Wow. That's hilarious. This i5, it's slightly overclocked. I don't believe that 3.51. I think it's actually at 4 or something. CPU. Damn it. Get out of here. Unpin. CPU Z. I just want to see what the real overclock or the clock is on this. Windows doesn't read it right. Yeah, so we're at 4.1. 4.1 gigahertz on this 6600. So we are not at, that is why this i5 6600K is outperforming the i7 3770. Is when you're running it at 4.1 gigahertz, it's gonna beat it. What's the CPU get with Monero? That's a good question. don't know if I have. I didn't put the we did that a long time ago. I think it did actually pretty good. If you look up Monero CPU test from our videos, I think it was like episode maybe 51. I actually do this machine on that. All right, so let's go back to Cinebench GL. So it's doing it right now. Let's see what things outputting. We got a BBT Dan in the house. We're wrapping up the live stream right now. Brought me some goods. I'll get that after. Yeah, thanks. Got the drink in the house. 3-hour stream. We're almost wrapping up. We got about 10 minutes and then I'm gonna wrap it up. We're doing some testing on Cinebench right now. 138.5 FPS. Not bad. These should actually have more like settings on there. So we got that. Let's do oh, I didn't mean to hit that. Let's do. Somebody's gonna watch me type and hack all my fun, all my stuff. I don't even know what my own password is. I had many Steam accounts, people. So try not to hack that one. This is my fun one. Let's see here. Games library. Software. Updating. Conan, 7 Days to Die. I will not download those right now. So I own a copy of this, so we own the advanced version. Base stock. I'm trying to hit escape because I'm going to kill the music on this, because otherwise you guys are going to hear the demo music, which would be super annoying. That or the machine just died, one of the two. It just rebooted. Vega for the win! Yeah, we'll do Fire Strike. The best card ever. Ah. Best $600 ever spent. Oh my God, what did I do? Am I not doing this right? We're in the fun part of the video, to where one, I'm obviously jacking up my password here, but trying to get. Oh my God, the guy's already. I've already been hacked. That didn't take somebody long. You guys are ninjas. There we go. Benchmarks. Ultra. Do not include the demo. Tanzania, bro, I hear you. Oh my God, it may make it, folks. It may make it. It did not like that DX12 game, though, did it? Power usage 270, a little more than mining, dual mining. $23 FPS. It's not. I mean, I'd probably overclock it. Again, this is the 4K test, so 16's not. There we go. 25. I'm doing the. We're past all the mining stuff. We're doing. They just wanted to see before I wrapped up the video. It like doing like benchmarks. That's the Vega 56. I'm doing a 4K test with it right now. It's only getting 20 FPS on 4K. Now, mind you, it's being a little hit when I'm doing 4K, and it's only on a 6600K i5. If you're going to do 4K gaming, I'd highly recommend getting like a 6th gen or a 7th gen i7. Especially if you're going to try FreeSync or G-Sync. and and you're going to be wanting to be at the IPS, or if you're doing IPS, you're going to want to do 2450 or 2560 by 1440p. You'll have a better. We're going to do 2560 by 1440p next, but you're going to want 100 plus frame rate for that. Do you think a miner software could be optimized for the new Vega extensions? Yeah, I think they could. I think it's just going to take somebody that can be a boss and do some serious C programming to make calls to that. What I'm really wanting to get is the mining driver for the NVIDIA cards in Linux and working and stable, because those mining cards that are in the back, try bulbs easy, clocks easy. What's the clocks? Oh my god, I got an invalid score. Oh, well, it's probably because it doesn't understand something on it. Let's see here. For the following reason, unknown problem. Okay, yeah. So, physics test. So I got a 4723 with base clocks on everything. If we do a 25, so this would be, I think this is the 1440p, the 1440p test. If you were buying this card and you were going to try to game, this is essentially the settings you'd want to be setting at, and the graphics card or the monitor that you'd want. $55 FPS. I'd really want to see this in the 60s or 70s. Yeah, I mean we can bump up the. I'm gonna get through this test and then I'll do one last thing. I'll bump up the GPU and see if we can kill it, and then we'll wrap up this video. Since we're at right there at 3 hours and 30 minutes. While we're going through this, you guys like this earlier time? Theodore, I don't think the Vegas will be doing 60 to 90 mega hash. The mathematics behind it, behind the actual throughput of what they're doing hash-wise, theoretically won't bust. They'll barely bust 60 if it was at like theoretical maxes. So there's just not enough bandwidth to hit 90. I haven't seen what John McAfee's talking about, but cryptocurrency in general is going to change everything. And not just cryptocurrency. So blockchain technology in general is going to change everything. Cryptocurrency is just a mechanism with it. You guys got to look at it like this. This is probably the best way to look at it that I've kind of been able to communicate. Is cryptocurrencies like email in the 90s. It's a feature on the blockchain, which would be the internet. You can transact with people, you can send things, you can even attach things, right? You can attach smart contracts to it. You can have some level of automation with email. But the blockchain technology in general is essentially like the internet is into that analogy. And the blockchain is going to change the way a lot of things are being done. Cryptocurrency is just an awesome enhancement for it. with the ability to transfer value. But blockchains in general are going to become super valuable, and since the value is being attached to the token, it just changes some of that value prop to where people can hold it as like stocks and make it a lot more streamlined. All right, guys, one more test, and then we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna throw the beans at it and see what we can get. Oh, let's do custom. I don't think 50 power limit matters, but we'll do it on that. And then I definitely want to give it. Let's turn on the fans. Our fan, plural, our non-plural. We'll try this one again with almost 8,000. We'll check Cinebench too. So 8,400 is what we were looking at beating. Mind you, I took the whole GPU clock all the way to the right. Let's see if it's stable. See what they can do. This is fun. I keep all the cards, guys. I think we killed it. I think it died. I think it died on arrival. I think I gave it too much. Probably need to have the GPU clock increase. 30% is probably a bit much. It said no, thank you. We'll get about half that, and then we'll try it, and then we'll shut it down. Yeah, I'll keep this. This will go into this will probably go into a rig. There's some other testing I'd like to do that I'll probably do offline with regards to trying to see the benchmark on like post production and like videos, like I've done with like the Threadripper to see how well it does like After Effects and stuff like that, but. It's funny, I think Linus or somebody else did one recently and saw that, I think it was Jay's 2 cents, like every time they'd rendered, no matter what graphics card they used, it was still the same speed. Even when they used like slow graphics cards, and then nobody could figure out why it was the same. Fans sound like my air conditioner. Yeah, let's see here. Gaming, global settings, want man, custom. Let's take this to. Can't see. That was Jay's 2 cents. Let's take it to a 14% overclock instead of 28. take the memory to half that. Give it a 30. Let's do a 40% power increase. And definitely want to keep it cool when it's doing its thing. Pretty mark. Oh my God. I have so many passwords, guys, it's ridiculous. See if that works. Again, I don't think I lose too much through the capture card. The capture card shouldn't be putting too much overhead on it because it literally is just stealing frames. That's why I'm surprised a lot more people don't do live streams when they're doing testing like this. And I haven't done a lot of the read the EULAs either, so I mean what we could be doing is violating. I don't know. But if you're allowed to play live this kind of stuff, I'll have to read the EULA and find out after the fact. Do some more research to find out if I have to buy like a commercial license, which I probably do, to be able to do the live testing. It's tapping 60 there. Using a crap ton more power. I can hear it calm the fans down when it wasn't under a full load like that. Oh, we're holding over 30 FPS now on this. It's definitely faster with the bump. We're giving it a lot more power. You guys not see that power either, I bet. Just at 30. Too much whoosh, or so much whoosh. Well, that it doesn't use much on the when it's doing just the physics portion. It was down to 130 watts power usage. Again, some of these things are probably being affected by the fact that we're using an i5 6600K versus putting this like I'll probably do some independent testing in this and putting this in with like the Ryzen 7, and we'll probably see a pretty nice bump. Probably up to like 10 to 12% increase in as the graphics card, the CPU I think is part of my limiter here. Yeah, so about a 500 point bump there. So not a ton. Here we'll do the last test. We'll just do one last pass on Cinebench, and then we'll call it on the OpenGL with the bump. We were at like 135 FPS, I think. I can tell that's faster already. $127. It's actually slower. For whatever reason, it's slower than base stock. 139 when we didn't touch it, and we just popped off a 127 after touching it. Gotta love AMD drivers. So the moral to that story is it depends what your application is. Test it both ways. And don't be surprised if stock is better. Alright guys. Well, I'm going to turn off this air conditioner here and we'll shut that down. So it was a pretty comprehensive test. I got a lot to write up. The verdict is definitely, I'll put in big bold print of what our best settings were, which was leaving the voltage stuffs on auto, having about 10 to 15% reduction in power limit, and we confirmed that. I mean, there's been a few people that have confirmed that's about the where you need to have it at, and you're gonna get 40 to 41 mega hash on something like Ubiq. You'll be in the high 30s with Ether if you keep the latest driver. The latest driver is a lot more stable than the blockchain driver. Confirmed. We've seen it here. And you know, from a gaming side, not bad. I'm gonna test it off camera with like an Ryzen 7 and see if it's how it performs against like a 1070 on a gaming side, just for my own edification, to see how it's doing. But I mean, if the pricing was where it should have been based on retail, I think it's a decent card. If it was $399 to $425, that's the price point that card should be in, based on the performance that I'm seeing with the power usage that it is. But at $600, it's just not a good buy. I mean, that's what we paid for it. We paid $590 shipped. And yeah, I mean, that's the price that the Vega 64 should be at, right? Base price, and it's not even that much better at all. I will do another video with taking the Vega 64s, since the other Vega that we have is a Vega 64 Sapphire. This is a Vega 64 or a Vega 56 Sapphire. So I'll move the BIOSes over, and then we'll do a quick video with that sometime in the next week. I want to do some more testing with this before I start messing with BIOSes, but we'll do that test. We also are going to do the this is a 4-slot expansion riser. I also have a 3-riser expansion, a 3-slot riser expansion. That'll probably be the video into tomorrow. I'm looking at schedule, and the website's going to trump everything. So if I can get through and get the website deployed, then I definitely want to have a video to kind of walk you guys through it and how it works and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to get that deployed with the Shopify site on that and get some things listed up there. But I do want to go ahead and try this with a few of the rigs that we have behind. I can move some cards around, and we could do these expansion slots and see if they work with a couple different boards. So thanks for hanging out there, guys. Hopefully this was a pretty good video for most of you, and we'll catch you guys in the next stream. Leave comments below. Let us know. Almost 4 hours. Holy crap.